Hello actors, welcome back to my channel. I'm Pippa, the British acting coach, and this is episode 2 of your self-tape scene studies. Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm a working actor here in the UK. I also started acting coaching and I'm still very much part of the industry and love the craft of acting, hence why this channel is here for you and me to talk about and learn about and keep digging deep on all of that acting craft stuff, which is what we love, right? Before we dive into episode 2, I just want to mention something that I've learnt already from episode 1, where I said quite clearly, I'm going to pretend I'm an acting coach and I'm talking to myself as if I'm a student. I'm going to be totally honest. In episode 1, I really didn't do that. My coaching sessions look nothing like that. And if I were recording some self-tape feedback, which is something that I do, I absolutely wouldn't have spoken to a student the way I spoke to myself. So I'm going to put my hands up and I wanted to open and share that with you because a dear friend and accountability buddy of mine, who is also on this YouTube landscape, kind of told me, oh, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't speak to a student like that, would you? And I said, actually, absolutely not. So in this episode, I am going to really try and put my acting coaching hat on and take my Pippa hat off because it wasn't actually representative of how I approach the craft. So I want to throw that out there and I'm going to leave episode 1 as it is, and I encourage you to go back and watch that if you haven't already and start this series in order, just so you've got this kind of weekly class thing going on, which is what I've talked about already. And my dear friend also mentioned that I haven't articulated what happened from that audition, and I kind of didn't want to talk about that because it's not about the outcome. It's not about whether or not you landed the job or didn't. What's important is the craft and the audition, and that you feel like you've done your job and given a great portrayal of the character in your mind's eye. We have to be able to walk away from auditions and just go, okay, I'm going to get on with the rest of my life now. And I think the more you can do that, the better it is for your acting career. We do have an electrician working downstairs and he's loud, so please ignore any sounds that are a little bit off-putting. Thanks in advance. So it's really fascinating, isn't it? I realised as I watched it back, I wasn't saying the good stuff that I think is actually really helpful for you guys for me to note on as well. So moving forward, I am going to note that stuff a little bit clearer, and I am going to really try my best to put, like I said, my acting coaching hat on and take off my, just kind of critiquing myself actor hat off. Let's get on to this next self-tape. If you haven't watched this self-tape, please go back and watch it now. And once you've watched it, please like it and get into that habit. It's just a really easy way for me to keep track of who's actually watching the video till the end and joining me on this self-tape scene study journey. So do give it a like. I think I've only got like 8 likes on there for now, but I'm not here for all of that. I'm here to check who's on my channel as a true subscriber, really honing in on the craft. So do have a little look and come back here and let's crack on with the feedback. Acting coaching hat going on. Let's do it. Let's get into this then. First up, we are going to watch this tape back together and see what happens.
Yes.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but we have a problem. The women have stopped working.
What?
Hey, so first things first that I want to say is well done. And what I'm going to do, if you can't see already, is I'm going to quickly like the video just so that I can show myself I have watched it back. So brilliant. I thought that was a solid take. However, I've got lots of things that I would encourage you to think of moving forward, Pippa, because that's who I'm talking to in this video, right? What I really enjoyed about it is the fact that I walked through a door and I did all of that action. That isn't always required in a self-tape. They're very much happy, usually I've heard through the grapevine, to have suggestions of all this sort of action. In fact, I'll put it up soon. You'll see an audition where I had to hold some keys and then bring out a bottle and then eat some cake and do all of this like juggling. While I think it's great to commit that and do it, sometimes you can just get away with a suggestion. So although I do all the action here,
Yes.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but we have a problem.
and walk through the
women
door, it's not absolutely required, but I enjoyed that. I thought it made it very truthful to the scene and gave it a really good sense of movement and urgency that I liked and I think was appropriate for what the script was lending itself to. Other things I want to mention that I really enjoyed. Outfit. It's not your conventional, outfit you might assume someone would wear for this kind of role. And when I say role, I mean as if this was a real person who was working that job role. That's what I'm talking about. I don't mean character role right now. I mean let's treat this like a real person, making them as real as possible, right? And so I liked the outfit and I thought, I made a suggestion of the collar. At the time, I didn't have a plain blouse. I probably would have worn that. But that being said, I think this complemented me nicely. It contrasted well with the plain white wall and door that you can see behind me. And yeah, I quite liked the top button doing up and the hair as well and everything. And one thing I do want to point out actually is hair. Everyone's got a different kind of hair. Some people have no hair. Hair is hair and no hair is no hair, right? But for this scene, can you see how much it is out of my face? I've made a very conscious decision to keep it out of my face. And this is just something to be aware of for any audition, guys. Do with your hair or hat or whatever what you would do if you were playing the character. Do make a little nod to it, because it's something I see quite often, and I think it says a lot about your sense of confidence, is a lot of actors think that acting like this is really good and really helpful, even if you're playing like a broody teenager or something. But can you see how hard it is to kind of effectively feel included in this conversation now while I'm talking at you like this? Get your hair out your face. It doesn't, I know we want to look nice, attractive or whatever, but like, it's one of my biggest pet peeves in auditions when I see people that are just like, they've always got the hair in the face, or they're just always, it shows me that you're just so not in it. So that was something else I want to say, that I did a good job there, and I would encourage you to think of moving forward.
Stopped working.
What?
Good. So another thing I want to point out that I thought was really solid in this tape is...
Yes.
Ma'am, I'm sorry.
See that? Ma'am, I'm sorry. I'm literally identifying two separate people in the scene. So interesting, isn't it? That wasn't in the script. But what was in the script is that I said, ma'am, I'm sorry, but blah, 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 blah. To make it more interesting and make it a little bit more important, I made sure I was interrupting my superior while they were in another meeting. So what that actually does is up the stakes and ups the urgency of the scene. If my boss, whoever I'm talking to, was just on computer doing emails and I said, oh, I'm really sorry to interrupt, but this silly thing's happened. That's totally different. Those are two totally different interpretations, right? Hello, I'm sorry to interrupt this very important meeting that you're in, but this has happened. Versus, hiya, I'm sorry, I don't really mean it. I'm sorry to interrupt your emails, but there's just something happening. Two totally different energies, okay? And from what I had read on the project, what I had seen of the script, what had been described about the kind of character I was playing, made me think, let's go more on the urgency, important. I'm really sorry, everybody. This is actually a bit of a shit show, and we need to, I need your help. Made a bit more sense for me. So I liked that. I liked that my reader, James, was there. He gave me the lines. In fact, I don't even think I was looking at him. But anyway, I gave it to two separate people just to up the stakes. I was more outnumbered. I think it worked and gave myself a nice, it just helped up the urgency, like I've said. Where's the sound? Oh. The sound has stopped working. What have I done? Have I done something? Oh, hello. I don't know who this person... Oh, Kelly Stamps. I do know who that person is. What's going on? The sound has completely died. Oh, well, never mind. Let's press on, because I ain't got all day. In fact, I really don't have all day. I've got to do a self-tape in 50 minutes. So, good. Lovely, lovely. Other thing I want to point out that I did that I quite liked. Very small status thing. Did you see that? Let me replay it. And there's no language, so you don't have to hear. In fact, it's good that the sound has disappeared, because it's going to show you how I'm telling the story physically without any words. If you let someone walk through a door in front of you and you're holding the door open and you bow your head, avoid eye line, lower status character. Hello. If I actually held the door open and led the way, or was just like, after you, darling. Yeah, we're best friends. That would be a totally different, again, status, energy in the scene. But what I did is I've already disrespected my superior in interrupting when they've already told me, don't interrupt me. And then I'm actually actively telling them there's a problem. So again, not only am I coming in, interrupting, I'm delivering bad news that something urgent has happened and I need your help with it. I'm letting them go through the door. And it kind of, I think, shows well, the right energy for what I was trying to portray of this character. Maybe the director and the casting director's vision was not like that. Maybe they wanted someone on the same level as the superior, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case considering what the description said. Do you see how I'm layering in extra details to add more depth and detail into my characterization? Tiny little thing, but it says a lot about my status there. And that attitude as well at the end. Oh God, I watched them go. Here we go. I'm really punctuating energetically without words. One thing that you can't hear now that I did there, that did annoy me actually in the rehearsal when I did this scene, was the door slamming. So when I actually shut the door naturally, it was way too loud. So when I listened back to the audio during my rehearsal take that I was recording, because I want to check back everything, the sound and the lighting, and make sure it's all okay, it was way too loud. It was really abrupt. So what I actually did is I practiced shutting the door whilst filming for a bit and checking that it wasn't too loud. And I quite liked that finality of the door locking and having that in there. Now, having done this, this was one of my, again, I'm kind of going through in order of date for these auditions for you as well. So I'm learning as you go. So you'll see that my auditions will improve as we get on in this project. But what I'm actually doing is being very careful when I shut the door, essentially. So you can hear the lock, you can hear the finality of the door clicking into place, but it's not overpowering and it won't make whoever's watching my tape back go, Christ, they really slammed that door, didn't they? I don't want them to be talking about how I slammed the door. I want them to be talking about whether or not I'm right for the job and give me the job, right? So little things you can do to help yourself. That being said, talking about lighting is not great in this one. So I had not long moved into this apartment. Like I said, this was very last minute, which is a good thing because it was a short scene. If it was a longer piece and I had to do loads more work on it, it probably would have been mediocre, or I might have even said, nope, I can't do that in time, sorry, don't put me up for this job. But it was a really short scene. It was quite easy for me to do, so I did it very fast. Lighting is not great, I would say. I'm just using the natural lights I had in the house that we're in. I didn't have any kind of it was nighttime in case you couldn't tell, so I couldn't use natural lighting, which I absolutely would have done if I was able to. But like I said, this was a very quick turnaround. So I would improve the lighting. I will talk more about that in further episodes, but I did what I could with the resources I had. And that's something you need to be aware of as an actor. Like, you can't always be perfect. The whole point is that this person is not being a perfect employee. They're actually interrupting a very important meeting. So just get out of this whole idea of being perfection in your craft. It doesn't exist. I've forgotten what I was saying. But anyway. There we are. Shut the door. Bad things that I will not do that I have learnt from watching this very short tape back. As you can see, the first thing they can see is a blank screen. No. I actually would have, if I was doing this again for this job, I would have made sure that the first thing they saw was my face. I think that's quite important when you do self-tapes. They need to just get a feel for you immediately. And so I think having a blank wall and coming into the scene with this urgent energy is great for the character and the story. But in terms of the casting process, I think they actually just need to see you quite clearly to begin with. And the first thing they need to see in that thumbnail is your face, I think, personally. So I would have made sure that's the case, and I would have suggested not doing the door opening. It's trial and error, and I don't think there's anything wrong with how I did this, and I think a casting director, if anything, might be like, oh, that's good, they've actually put a bit of effort in doing the movement, and it helps me see them as the character. Also, can you see how wobbly I am coming in? The first impression they have of me is true to the character, but it's not the clearest image of me, is it? So again, that's something I would work on moving forward. Not making or breaking the audition, but just stuff to kind of have an awareness of. Put yourself in the casting director's shoes and think what's actually going to help them see you in the role. Good. To be honest, I kind of think that's everything I have to say on this audition tape. Let me just bring myself into the centre now for you. I really enjoyed this tape. I thought it was really nice to have such a short scene to do that didn't require a great deal of, emotional investment, I suppose. It's quite a surface level text. That being said, I did add a lot of depth in there, I think, that I hope didn't go unnoticed. But yeah, it was quite a nice tape to do. I enjoyed it, and it was refreshing to get a tape so late that they needed so quick that was actually reflective of the time they had given me and that I had available to do it. It wasn't 3 pages of scenes where I had to have, a nervous breakdown or anything. It was just delivering some news, hence why I've called this tape The Messenger. So if you have any thoughts or questions on this, put them in the comments and let me know what you thought about it. Let me know if you did this tape as well. Some of you might have even subbed for this. I don't know. You might know exactly what this is for. So just let me know. And like I say, do give me a thumbs up. Let me know you've watched this back and studied it with me. And do keep checking back here week on week. Join us for this. Keep studying and honing in your craft. It's only going to help you book more jobs, and also just appreciate more about acting and get excited about it again. That's what I really hope you get from this channel. Thanks for being here. Good to see you all. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.
It's been a year since we last talked, but now you're hitting me up, telling me that it's been too long, and you wanna meet up. You said your favorite coffee shop was just on the block, so we met up for a cup and then went for a walk.